Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I see we have a quorum. Let's call the meeting to order. Meeting to order of the Brents 40 Board at 6 o'clock. First, we'll have a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Tim, I think I'm not hearing you. Are you muted?
I was muted, so
Okay.
we didn't end up with four different timings.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
And Richard and Pete, anyway.
I was muted too. That was a good idea.
Okay, all good. And Richard, Dick, you're on.
Yes, I've been elevated to my full first name. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I see that on the thing. Okay, call to order, and we didn't have a moment of silence, but 9/11 was just 4 days ago, the anniversary of 9/11, and just want a moment of silence again for the event that we will never forget. Okay, thank you. Okay, Nate, can you administer the roll call?
I can. Director Dodds,
Present.
Director Landon,
Here,
Director Vanris.
Here.
And Chair O'Connell,
Present.
and Director Meyer is absent tonight.
Okay. Joe, Mr. Solano, could you provide a quick overview of the virtual meeting process?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. As part of the collaboration between Brents 40 and LAFCO, Brents 40 Fire is utilizing LAFCO's Zoom webinar account. Under this platform, the board has complete control over their webcams and microphones, just like your staff. For members of the public, their microphones and webcams have been disabled, but they still have an opportunity to view and see the entire meeting. Members of the public also have an opportunity to address the board on any agenda item. They can do that by raising their hands by clicking on the raise hand button. For those that are joining us via conference call, they can press *9. Once they're acknowledged by staff and the chair, they'll have up to 3 minutes to address the board on any agenda item. Staff will let them know when they have 1 minute left and when their time is up. And in accordance to AB 361, any board action will require a roll call vote. And with that, Chair, that concludes the brief overview of the virtual meeting process.
Okay. So we're moving on to the agenda amendments. So Nate, has there been any requests to amend the current agenda?
I don't have any requests.
Okay. Oral communications. Ask the chief if they received any requests to address the board on non-agenda items.
I have not had any requests.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar. So there are three items under the consent calendar, and the board can take one action to approve all the items under the consent calendar, unless a member of the public or a board member wishes to pull the item for discussion. is if anyone would like to pull an item out of the consent calendar. Okay, if none, Chief, could you conduct the roll call vote?
Yes, I can.
Well, first, sorry, we do need a motion in a second to, before you can do a roll call vote.
Forgot that part.
No problem.
Do we have a motion to accept the items under the current topic
Consent calendar.
consent calendar?
If
I
there's no
move we
discussion, I'll make a
ex-
motion. Or you, go ahead, Tim.
You started. Go ahead, Pete.
Okay, I was just gonna make a motion to pass the consent calendar.
I'll second.
So a motion was made by Director Veneris and seconded by Director Dodds. Can we have a roll call vote now?
Director Dodds,
Aye.
Director Landon,
Aye.
Director Vanris.
Aye.
And Chair O'Connell,
Aye.
and Director Meyer is absent.
Okay. So item 5 is there's 3 items that requires discussion and potential item. So the next item is the final budget, and Chief Lackey, can you give us a presentation on that?
Yes, you have in front of you the final budget for this year. Some of the bigger changes that you'll see from over the preliminary budget is our workers' comp was increased from an additional 12,000 from the increase that our workers' comp carrier advised us it would be. So our workers' comp went up $45,000 this year. And it should be the same next year. The group decided they were going to do one large increase for this year, but the group decided to hold off and taper it in to assist the smaller districts like ourselves. You will also notice that in the preliminary budget, I budgeted 106, or I'm sorry, we had the fund balance of $650,000. The report we received from the county was actually $725,000, so a $75,000 increase in our carryover from last year. So our final numbers are, with all the other increases and everything, we were able to increase our reserves $33,900 from the preliminary budget. We are using $504,000 of our reserves to carry us through this budget year due to the increases in workers' comp and the temporary firefighter position, along with the admin position. So that's where we are with the general fund. Are there any questions on the general fund before I move on to the Measure T?
I did have one question on an item that was purchased in the monthly report, but I don't, we're not at that point yet, or wanna,
I think it's the next four. I thought it was in 4.4.
okay.
But
So, and then I have a question on Measure T funds, so we'll,
Okay.
that'll go later.
All right. Any more questions on the general fund before I move on to Measure T?
I just had this is Director Landon. I just was wondering, last year, what was our general fund at? You remember?
The carryover was around, I believe, $750,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, I believe.
So the reason why it's so high, basically right now, is because of the carryover.
Why it's high now. So our carryover this year was a total of 725.
Yeah, so that's included in the 1.6?
Yes, that is.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Sometimes I think about, our revenue stream
Yeah.
and what's coming in versus you add all the numbers together, like in this number. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
So were there, did public comment on these questions on this item?
I think before you open
Can-
for public comments, that your chief finish his presentation and then you can open the
Okay.
floor for public comments.
So I'll move on to the Measure T fund now.
Okay.
Again, we have our final budget for the Measure T is $1.4 million, or I'm sorry, $1,004,000. Again, our fund balance carryover, I budgeted 70,000 just to be conservative, and the final carryover was $815,000. So that kind of increased that quite a bit. I didn't really add anything to the budget or change anything in the Measure T fund. And we have a total of $201,000 in reserves, along with $100,000 in contingencies in that fund. Any questions on the Measure T?
Did have a question on the mobile equipment, the $450,000. What was that going to include?
That was budgeted for a type 6 if we decided to do that.
Okay. And, okay, thanks. Just wondered. Have any other questions? I did have a question. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, do we have any other comments from the public?
I don't see any hands raised to address the board on this item.
Okay, so board members, do you have any more questions? If not, then can we have a motion to on staff's recommendation?
I'm recommending we sign or adopt resolution 2022-7, which is the resolution to adopt our final budget for the 2022-2023 budget year.
Okay, do we have a board member?
I'll make a motion to accept that resolution.
You have a second?
Second that.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Landon and seconded by Director Veneris. Can you take a roll call vote?
Yes. Director Dodds,
Aye.
Director Landon,
Aye.
Director Vanris.
Aye.
Chair O'Connell,
Aye.
and Director Meyer is absent.
Okay, 5.2. This is
Chair.
adopted.
Chair, I would just mention that 5.1 and 5.2 were kind of joined
Kind of.
together, and you just approved the adoption of resolution 2022-7. So you may just move forward to 5.3 unless Chief, you have any corrections on that.
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 5.3 Zoom recordings. Chief, can you give a presentation on Zoom recordings?
We've had a request from a director to start putting on the recordings of our Zoom meetings onto the website. And I have brought it to the board for your approval.
Okay. Have you received any written comments or requests to address the board on this item only?
I have not.
Do we have any comments from the public on this item?
don't see any hands raised at this time, Chair.
Okay. Do any of the board members have questions for the staff?
Yeah, this is Director Landon. I just wanted to get Joe to confirm that if this motion passes, he can immediately make those Zoom meetings available through his archives at LAFCO.
Chair, yeah, I can, if the board approves this item, what I'll do is, once the board meeting is done, I'll go into LAFCO's YouTube account. That's where all the recordings of all the Branson 40 meetings are housed. I will convert that from private to public. And then what I'll do is I'll coordinate with your chief and we'll include links on the Branson 40 website first thing tomorrow morning. So if, again, if the board approves this item, after the meeting's over, I'll change the private setting to public setting. So if anyone searches Branson 40 Fire on YouTube, they'll find the recordings. And in addition, Chief Lackey and I will have links on the website first thing tomorrow morning. So they'll be accessible to the public.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept, to approve this item?
Yes, this is Director Landon. I make a motion to put the Zoom meetings archives and make them open to the public immediately.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion was made by Director Landon and seconded by Director Ramirez. Nate, can you repeat the motion and ask for a roll call vote?
Roll call vote is, the motion was to put all the Zoom meetings that we have recorded onto the website for people to be able to locate. So Director Dodds,
Aye.
Director Vanris,
Aye.
Director Landon,
Aye.
Chair O'Connell,
Aye.
and Director Meyer is absent.
Okay. 6, other business information and discussion. There are 4 items that require discussion but may not require board action. So 6.1 is the operational update. So Nate, can you give us a presentation on the operational update?
Yes, so you should have a report in front of you with the months of July and August. There was a number of meetings that I attended in July. The county fire districts held their first overhead refresher meeting, which is for mostly the battalion chiefs of all the districts to get together and kind of review things before the fire season, new updates from local CAL FIRE and their status. I attended that and it was a great meeting and they plan on doing it quarterly from now on. I also attended a joint ad hoc meeting with Scotts Valley. Attended the NetCom users group, which NetCom is our dispatch center. We have a monthly meeting up there. Attended a fire code adoption meeting over at Central. The fire code should be approved or up for approval at, I believe, the November or a meeting in November at those Board of Supervisors meeting. Attended a Zoom meeting with the SEI Consulting and attended the monthly fire chiefs meeting along with the quarterly EMSIA meeting. And then I continued to work with LAFCO on the reorganization. In August, finished up the final budget for Measure T in the general fund. I inspected the exit road at the end of Old Pilkington after the fire at De La Vega. A number of the residents up there had some concerns with their emergency exit and a safety spot that they could go and have refuge if they couldn't use that. had our quarterly or our monthly, another monthly chiefs meeting, and then had a meeting with our workers' comp. We have a quarterly meeting with our workers' comp company, and they went over all the new stuff that's available to the districts, not just us paying a huge bill, but there's a lot of other opportunities that they offer us to use that will benefit our district and our people. And that's what I have. Any questions on that?
Are there any comments from the public?
I had a question.
Yes.
Chief, would just kind of interested in item 4 in August. What kind of a training was that with Scotts Valley?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. The volunteers do, at both districts, both do trainings on one Saturday a month. And in August, both departments worked together and did training together. So both groups of paid calls and volunteers worked together, along with the paid staff that was on duty at both departments.
Was that a first event?
No, No, we try to do that every month, depending on staffing. So,
Great. Thank you.
The next item, I believe, is the letter to LAFCO requesting a fee waiver for the reorganization process. Executive Director Serrano notified myself that his board would like a little more information from him. And I believe they'll bring it up at their next meeting. Mr. Serrano, is there anything you need to add to that or would like to?
Yeah, I'll just note that LAFCO did receive a formal request from your chief to waive the fees for this proposed reorganization. LAFCO did present that to my commission in addition to an update to our proposal evaluation policy. And so my commission didn't oppose the fee waiver for Branson 40 and for the proposed reorganization. They just requested staff provide more information regarding the proposal evaluation policy update. So I just want to make that clear that my commission didn't have any issues with Branson 40's fee waiver request. They just wanted more information about the policy update that I was proposing. So that's why the whole item was moved to our next scheduled meeting. So I just want to make that clear, is there wasn't any issues with their request. It was more of my recommended language in the policy update. But I'm pretty confident that my commission will approve the fee waiver at our next regular meeting. But that's all I have, Chief.
All right.
Any comments from the public? Board members, any comments? And what is the number of the waiver? Dollar wise?
It is $8,000.
It's
And so that's a significant amount of money. And because of the proactiveness of this board and your chief, LAFCO wants to make this process as easy as possible. So I don't want the filing fee to be an issue. That's why I think it's warranted to consider the fee waiver.
appreciate that. Thank you. So the 6.3, the reorganization process. Nate, can you give us a presentation?
We did have a meeting, I believe, in July. And we did host a informational meeting on the whole process last night. It was pretty well attended. I believe we had over 50 people attending the meeting. And we were able to answer a number of questions. And I'm not sure if Joe Serrano would like to add some more information on that. but we're moving forward still.
Yeah, I'll keep
Can't hear
it
you, Joe.
brief. No, I'm sorry. I'll keep this brief. I just wanted to thank the chief for hosting that event last night, and he's absolutely right. It was a good turnout. At one point, I saw there were 60 people in attendance to that virtual workshop. There was a lot of good questions, and I think it was a good discussion. And it was a kickoff session, meaning that the board and the district will continue to co-host additional educational workshops as we move forward with this process. But again, this was meant to be an opportunity for the residents to hear about the proposed reorganization, ask questions, and the next one is going to be scheduled for October 1st, and it's going to be an in-person workshop at the Happy Valley School. So we'll be coordinating with your chief to get that scheduled, and we'll provide the information on the district website. But I really look forward to hearing from the board members if they did attend. What were their thoughts? But I'll leave it with that.
Okay. I thought that the meeting was really needed and it was really well presented. I want to thank all of the presenters who were there giving out factual information that explained the process better than any of us could have over this time. And so it clarified quite a few issues. So it was a real useful, and the public comments were really good. And I think we were able to answer most of those comments. So I think that this was something that the timing, it was right to do, and well presented. And I think we should open the floor for some public comments also, and then the board could add to their comments. Do we have any comments from the public that would like to?
Chair, we do see one hand raised, so I'm going to ask them to unmute themselves. Tony Sloss, you have up to 3 minutes.
Hi, Tony Sloss, 30-year resident of the area and member of the Resident Advisory Committee. I was really excited about the informational meeting last night, and also think the presenters did a great job, and really excited about the turnout, that we're getting a lot of participation from our residents and parcel owners. And so that's all really good. I feel that there is some differences of opinion on the board about the best way to move forward. And I feel like there was unanimity about entering the merger process, the reorganization process, and with good information, open information and exchange for all the board members. My hope is that we kind of get back to that place where we all are on the same page moving forward. But not to say that there shouldn't be some differences of opinion. But anyway, I just I'm hopeful that through our informational sessions and the board meetings, that board members can get their concerns addressed, and we can move forward positively. And in that regard, with the next meeting being October 20th, my hope is that one or more of the board members who did not approve the benefit assessment study take that step to put it on the agenda for October 20th, so that you just have the option to reconsider that on October 20th, considering that we'll have informational sessions and the public will be weighing in. I think it would be really great to take that step now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Do we have other comments from the public before the board makes comments?
Looks like we have one from Cecil.
Yes, we have one from Cecil. I'm going to ask them to unmute themselves. Cecil, you've been unmuted. Cecil, you're unmuted, but we don't hear you. Unfortunately, we still can't hear you. We may be having some technical issues. We're going to have her try again. In the meantime, I do see another hand raised. Miss Marilyn, you've been asked to be unmuted.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I was just wondering if there's any preliminary returns on the survey.
Yes, we've have about 35 responses from the online survey and about 12 to 13 actual the mailers.
Is there any tabulation? I mean, are they coming in one way? or another?
So far, I think I've received 5 no's on everything combined. Just a rough guess. So most of them are yes.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to try with Cecil once again. Cecil, you've been unmuted. I see that her microphone or their microphone's unmuted, but I don't see that. I can't hear them. Don't know what to say. I'm sorry. Their microphone is unmuted, but I don't hear anything. Otherwise, does anybody else hear her or hear them? Sorry.
No, I cannot.
All right. Cecil, can you maybe work on your microphone and all right, sorry, Chief and Chair, I don't hear their microphone.
Okay, we'll move on. Again, any other public comment?
I do see one more from Mark. Mark, you've been asked to be unmuted.
Yes, I wanted to comment on last night's presentation, which I agree with Tony. It was really terrific, great information. It helped me to understand much better the issues at hand. And it was encouraging to see that there were 60 or so participants. But we have, I guess, about 700 households in the fire district. So 60 participants are probably now pretty darn well informed about the matter, but that still leaves a whole lot of people that may be more or less in the dark or not terribly involved in this decision. The postcards went out, from what I understand, from a moment ago. We just a couple of 2 or 3 dozen have come in. So again, that seems to represent kind of a low participation rate. I'm wondering if there's any way of increasing our outreach to the community to encourage more participation before we go too much further. I'm not sure, frankly, how you do that, but it just seems that it's difficult to make a clear decision when so few people have actually weighed in. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do think that the October session, hopefully we'll get a lot of people to that one in person. So Any other ideas, Joe?
No, I will mention that in addition to the postcards and reaching out, there's also a distribution list that's currently being updated regularly. So we encourage residents to join that distribution list. That way they could get a notification when there's meetings or workshops in the future. But if there's any other recommendations from the board to increase their outreach effort, LAFCO is more than happy to provide assistance on that matter.
Thank you.
Chair, I have a question. Quick. This is Director Dodds. The informational session, I agree with the other people that have commented in this section, was excellent last night. And that's a session that, if I'm pretty sure it's recorded, if possible, we should put that out on our website as well for people to be able to dial up that webinar at their own convenience. We might be able to increase our reach that way, and maybe a little social media that session is out and available if we're able to put it out there. Mr. Serrano, can you answer that question on with our approval of putting board minutes out, are we able to put that informational session out as well?
Excellent point, and I'm glad you brought that up, Director Dodds. Earlier this morning, your chief and I uploaded the recording of last night's workshop on your website. So if you go to Branson 40's website under the reorganization frequently asked questions page, you'll see a direct link to that recording. And so anyone that missed last night's workshop can watch the recording at their own leisure. So I'm glad you brought that up. And I just want to give kudos to the board. You're increasing your transparency that this complete 180 from just a year ago. So now you're going to have your video recording to the last few meetings on your website. Now you have this workshop on your website, and you're giving your residents more information than ever before. So I appreciate that. But to reiterate, last night's informational session is now available on your website. So if anyone missed last night, they can always watch it at their own time.
Thank you for being a step ahead of me, Chief, and Mr. Serrano. I appreciate it.
Any other comments from the board?
I have a comment. Yeah, I was listening in on the educational session. And very good points. Something possibly to consider on more of an outreach would be doing perhaps a phone, hiring a company to do a phone poll of the survey. So that we were actually, or company hired would actually be calling people. Not only possibly ask them if they want yes or no on a survey, but how much would they be willing to pay? We did this similar to Measure T. We did an outreach similar. Anyway, just I think a phone poll might be a good option. Perhaps Joe can clarify this, because kind of my next comment. I was hoping to have more of a clear cost from Scotts Valley on what it would cost to run with 3 captains and 3 engineers / paramedic. And I thought Joe touched on doubling the cost. Would that be the current expenses, Joe? Of $1 million, so $2 million would make sense.
Yeah, I think you're referring to Don Jarvis's presentation about expenses. One of the issues is we don't know exactly the cost, and that's kind of one of the major benefits of the engineer's report / benefit study, because then we'll know exactly how much it would cost to staff the Branson 40 Fire Station. in regards to all the other costs, that's something that we would identify in a plan for service. So that's something that we definitely need to nail down, and we don't have those figures yet. And so that's something that needs to be addressed and informed to the residents. Right. Last night's workshop really focused at a high level of why the reorganization was happening, what's the current status of Branch 40, what's the proposed services from Scotts Valley Fire. And I think with the next workshops or the series of workshops, we can go into more details about the costs and the proposed revenues to offset those costs. So I don't have Don Jarvis here to answer his comment about doubling it, and I don't want to misspeak. I want to make sure that I provide accurate information to this board.
And that's just what I thought I heard, so I just want to clarify that. And that would, I think it's okay to be talking about. I mean, Scotts Valley could easily come up with those numbers, and obviously, benefit assessment would confirm that and add a whole lot more to it. I realize it. But I don't see why it's not okay to be talking about Scotts. It's public information, anyways, for the most part. So anyways, if I were to guess, I would say 2 million would be a good assessment or a guesstimate to run the station after reorganization. Anyways.
No, fair point. And I think that's something that the Joint Ad Hoc Committee needs to evaluate. And I think once that information is available, it will be, your chief will present that to your board as the process unfolds.
All right, thanks, Joe. I do have one more comment. In listening to a lot of the community, and then Chief commenting on the survey results, it's definitely the community wants to see what the benefit assessment study is going to come out. So I'd like to request putting the benefit assessment study on the October regular board meeting for discussion and action.
Okay, that's an appropriate way to make the motion. So again, the motion is to revisit the vote, and that would be on at our next meeting. And so a motion is made. I think we need to second the motion. And I think it could be anybody to second the motion.
Hey,
I
Chair,
want to make comments first.
at
Cut.
this point, is this a process that requires us to make a motion, or is this a process in which a board member has requested something be put on the agenda?
The board
Uh,
member.
Is this, if it's just that he has requested an item be put on the agenda for the next regularly scheduled board meeting, he has done that now. Does this require us a vote to put that on the agenda? Which I'm questioning whether we do.
Yeah.
Maybe council can.
Yes, council on the.
Yeah, so the request to put it on the agenda for the next meeting, you don't have to vote on that, just like you wouldn't for any other request to be on the agenda. And then at the next meeting, then you can make a motion for reconsideration at that point, once it's properly agendized.
Thank you.
Sure.
I had a comment about that, please.
Okay.
This is Director Landon. Attorney Claire, I was under, I guess I was under the misunderstanding that agenda items had to be introduced early on in the process here at number 2, where we would have agenda amendments. I'm just following what I had to do under your instructions to get the Zoom meetings publicized, and I did that to the T. So now you're allowing this motion at this time. I don't understand. Can you address that?
Yeah,
No
so
motion.
yeah, there won't be a motion now. Yeah, and you're right. So item 2 is agenda amendments, and we can't add new items onto the agenda, without the 72-hour notice. So this would be an agenda item for your next meeting.
Yeah,
So
I know. I thought it had to be requested at item level 1.
no. So you can do that now. You can do it under the good of the order. It's kind of up to you guys on when you do that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I do have some comments still.
Time to make comments.
All right. Yeah, last night's public meeting was the first time an awful lot of issues were first touched upon, as far as even in front of the board and in front of the public. I'll just mention a couple. You've already heard from Director Veneris about the public question to Don Jarvis about the approximate expense, which we have been, I think, neglectful, really, and a little. I just don't think we've been open in the process here, and that's one issue that's pretty plain. And Don Jarvis, I hope people do go to the Zoom meeting and listen to Don Jarvis on those points. I would make a slight correction to his estimate, and that, around 1 million, to add the second man on each, to keep the station open, et cetera, and put a second man on all the equipment all the time. The salaries are higher at Scotts Valley. So anyway, moving on, another really new item that I have been asking for a while was about exemptions, excuse me. And he said basically the state law under Prop 218 says there's no public private assessments that are outside the special assessment, so nobody can really get around it. And he did mention there was some kind of a rebate. This is all new. Everything I'm talking about is brand new to the board and to the public right now. So that's why I'm bringing it up. And I'm not going to get all the points. Don't worry. There's a lot. You can listen to the Zoom. But I guess he, on his best feedback to me today in email, was that the criteria for setting a rebate is set by the board at some point in the process. Don't really know exactly where, but he said that criteria could be similar to the criteria we might have used for other, like the Measure T exemption. And probably a lot of people don't know we have one of those, but in any case, so at some point the board would have to initiate this with, I imagine, LAFCO. We'd have to bring it up and say, I imagine, pass it, and then pass it on to LAFCO that we do want to allow for this rebate. Now, the rebate, it was explained to me as you pay the tax, and then according to our board's criteria, we would decide if you qualify for this rebate, and then we'd take the money out of general funds, I think. He said it, but he said this would have to be run by legal and LAVCO, and I imagine Scotts Valley Fire. So that was really good information. I just wanted to add a little to that for everybody's clarification, because that's right from Don Jarvis this afternoon. I'll make one more last point on the meeting last night, that with new points. There are quite a few new points. One of them was about insurance companies and ISO ratings, and what can insurance companies do? Can it cancel you? Are they just using ISO ratings? Well, no. Like Don Jarvis says, you can live next to a fire station in a fire hydrant And depending on which side of the bed the insurance agent gets up, you'll lose your coverage. So people out there really have to be aware that the distance to a fire station, et cetera, it doesn't count anymore. The iOS, I mean, it was a metric in past, but when there's fires, huge fires close by, they just leave the market. So, and my last points I wanted to make was about, generally speaking, about this whole process. We're just learning now after all this time, some of these finer points that I just mentioned. There's others, but I don't want to spend too much time. I want to talk about the unfairness of this with Scotts Valley. Now, this process is being forced, on Scotts Valley, and it's simple as that in plain language, and they don't like it. And so I went through some of their financials just to see where they are on the balance sheet. Now, you have to remember, and it wasn't mentioned last night, but I'll mention it now, and I have been mentioning it for about 3 months, that Scotts Valley residents pay zero in supplemental, fire tax. Right now, we're paying about $200 a parcel because of the Prop T funds, and I'm sure everybody's aware of those. So generally speaking, in cash, Scotts Valley has about 2.5 million. This is all from their audited budget 2020, 2021. So they had about 2.5 million in cash. They had about 2.4 million in unassigned funds. It was recovered. It was spoken of last night that they had 29 firefighters and 21 EMTs. And so they have 2 stations. They're basically overstaffed. They have more people than the basic requirement. And under this reorg, no matter what happens, our station closes or not, they get our 3 guys. They're going to absorb them. And so they're going to have those guys too. So they're almost, I didn't do the staffing table, 24-hour, 8 hours on, 8 hours off, 10 hours, whatever it is. But they're pretty close to like maybe a man and a half to having enough staff with our 3 guys and what they have to run full operations, up to LAFCO's requirements at our station. What I'm trying to say here is if I was to sit down and under a public record on camera with, say the board of Scotts Valley and ask them, do you think it's fair that we have this station out here in Happy Valley that's really nice station and nice equipment, and it can serve Scotts Valley also, and your people are paying zero, and we're paying, I don't know, it's a lot of money. Just get ready for it. And I'll just make one more point, and that is, I went to the assessors today, and I got some information. There's Scotts Valley Fire has 8,143 parcels. We have 770 parcels. Now, this has been my hope for this whole process, that Scotts Valley might loosen up a little bit. And if you add those together, that's like over 8,900 parcels. And if you were to take Don Jarvis's amount of the estimated cost for the second tier of workers at firefighters at the station, instead of coming out at a really high number, it comes out around $150 a piece and this is the point. They are rushing this. This has always been my contention. They're rushing this because they want to do it before the annexation. After the annexation, and the station, they would have to reintroduce a special tax across the board to all their residents too, and it'd be $150. And they have this excellent station here. It would be a shame if they don't use it. I contend that they will use it no matter what, and that's why I voted against going forward with that particular process. It doesn't mean we can't sit down with Scotts Valley and negotiate some of this, as far as, okay, how many men do you really need to run our station? And, legally. And I mean, I'm not forcing them to do it. LAFCO's doing it. So we're just we're the caboose on the train here. So that's why I'm waving my arms and I talk so much. And I appreciate you listening to me again, both the board and the public. Thank you very much.
Joe, do you wish to comment on anything there?
No, I would just clarify that LAFCO is not forcing this on Branson 40 and Scotts Valley Fire. There is real urgency because of the understaffed issue that Branson 40 has, and LAFCO had to step in to provide assistance. And the only way that the Branson 40 community will get adequate fire protection and medical services is if this board moves forward with the reorganization. That's what we mentioned last night, that the hard truth. And it's unfortunate that we're in this situation, but it could have been worse. It could have been worse if LAFCO didn't provide assistance. It could have been worse if you weren't able to find a fire chief, but we were able to collaborate, the three agencies, meaning Branson 40, Scotts Valley Fire, and LAFCO. And it's not easy. The comments from the board are valid comments. And I think in order for this to be successful, we need to address the issues that are identified not only from the board, but by the public. And that's why LAFCO has indicated that this is going to take a year, at least a year to complete. So that's, it's not a rush job, but there is urgency. And I think as long as the Branson 40 board and its staff continues to work with LAFCO and Scotts Valley Fire, we'll be able to find a compromise in the process. And I think as long as we continue working together, I'm optimistic that we can find a solution and make sure that the residents get adequate services now and in the future.
Thank you. Yes, I can concur that I wasn't crazy about it when I first saw the LAFCO report, and it was hard to take, and some of the issues I think could have been better addressed, but since that time, what I do see is that three agencies are working together: Scotts Valley, Branson 40, and LAFCO, trying to figure out what is the best way to move forward with Branson 40 Fire District. And all of these issues have coming up. A lot of that is discussed in the ad hoc committees between the two groups with LAFCO's participation. So I know we are planning another session with the ad hoc committee, and some of those items that have been talked about tonight do come up in those meetings. So it's not that we're not paying attention to those things, but having the benefit assessment process go through will also answer a lot of those questions. They'll be able to get better numbers for us. So I just hope.
Pat, I had one more thing. Since we're making motions to add agenda items, I would like to recommend an agenda item for next month where the board discusses Measure T funds. If what's to happen to them really. Is it fair to continue charging if the station is closed? I don't think it's fair, and I want that on the agenda, please.
The correct time to put that on the agenda would be the day of the next meeting.
That's what I said. No, I'm just doing what Veneris did. I'm requesting an agenda item. We're talking about the subject at length here. And that agenda item concerns what we're talking about really deeply. And if the station remains closed, like Scotts Valley, and I'm sorry, they're holding it over our head. They're going to close it. I don't believe it really, but that's my opinion. But I think if they say they're going to keep it closed, we should say, well, those Measure T funds aren't fair if you take them all. Those were for just our area, our district, our people. And I'm making the same request because Veneris was talking about this issue. I'm talking about this issue, and I want that. I'm requesting to put that as an agenda item for the next month's meeting, regular meeting. Nick, Attorney Nick, maybe. Yep, thumbs up from Nick.
Yeah, thumbs up, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah, you can do it as an information item and have that discussion.
okay. Any further comments? Okay, we've already done the staff reports. So correspondence. Nate, can you summarize the correspondence?
Yes, I received 4 emails. One from Kimberly and William Dudley on Blue Jay Lane, urging that we move forward with the benefit assessment. Another one from Michelle Huskies, I believe. Hope I didn't mess their name up too bad. Just they're very concerned about the station possibly being shut down. I also received 2 emails from Miss Becky Steinbrenner, wanting to know why the regular meeting in August was canceled and a special meeting was scheduled for September 1st. I also received an email from Miss Becky asking what happens if the fire board votes to halt the merger process. And you all should have those in your board packets. And those are the only ones I received. Any
Okay.
questions?
Chair, there is a request from the public to address the board at this time.
Okay,
Ms. Becky, you've been asked to be unmuted.
Hello, this is Becky Steinbruner. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I had a lot of trouble getting into the meeting tonight because the telephone access ID information was wrong from yesterday. It was changed today to the correct information. So I just want to make that clear that the agenda was changed to provide correct information, but only today. There was no call for public comment on any of the item 6.3. Are you going to do that?
There was public comment period for that item, Ms. Becky. I
couldn't
think you
hear.
joined just after they closed it.
I don't understand. It seemed like public comment was skipped over for item 6.3. I know the clock is ticking, so I'll, I guess, go to item 7.4. I did write Chief Lackey and ask, and as well as Mr. O'Connell, and ask that in number 7.4, it says the title of my correspondence regarded canceling the regular July board meeting. That's not true. That's inaccurate. And in my email to Chief Lackey and Chair O'Connell, I did ask that that be corrected. So I ask again that it be corrected in 7.4. That's what I want to say, and I hope that I will get some answers to that tonight, why that regular August board meeting was canceled, and then a special meeting scheduled for September 1st. Please do answer the question. And then please help me understand when you're going to have comment on item 6.
Thank you, Ms. Becky.
As far as canceling that meeting, that was my decision and my decision alone as board chairman. We went through a very rough board meeting that showed that there was some issues with following the rules of order. I needed to contact our legal advisors about some other issues. And we weren't prepared to have another meeting without some answers to those questions. And we moved it to the next available spot that fit the schedule of those who could make it. So nothing odd about it, except it just, you just have to be prepared for these meetings. And if you're not prepared for them, you better not have the meeting. So, and that was why it was done.
Chair, I don't see any other requests to address the board at this time.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Well, you have one more item before you
Yeah.
go to adjournment.
Good to the order. Does anybody have something to discuss before the adjournment?
I would like to let the board know that engine 2636 returned from the cover assignment for CAL FIRE on Monday. And all the crews are doing great, had a good time, and we're able to learn a lot of stuff through CAL FIRE. And they did, I got a report back from CAL FIRE that they did an excellent job. So
Great. I had meant to ask about that. I had wondered how they did. How many days were they out?
10 days.
10 days covering, for people that don't know, they were out covering CAL FIRE stations while we were in the heat, the heat warnings and the concerns. CAL FIRE gets prepped and they go out and stage outside of their stations. So local agencies are asked to cover their stations. And it's been a while since they've asked Friends of 40 to cover one of their stations like that. So that was great that we were able to still have 2 people in our station every day and provide a crew to cover the Jameson station. And so kudos to all those who participated, the volunteers and the staff. So, and thanks for letting that happen, Nate.
My pleasure.
Thanks for that update. Yep. Tell them thank you for us. Okay.
I will.
Okay, that's a good over the order. Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move that we adjourn our meeting until our next regularly scheduled board meeting on Thursday, October 20th, 2022.
Motion made by Director Dobbs. Do we have a second?
A motion.
Seconded by Director Veneris. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for the public for attending. It was heartfelt to see all of the attendance last night. And we hope to have even more on the next one. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief Lackey. Thank you,
guys.
Chair.
And we'll adjourn at 7:09.